It feels really special to complete a run of Mega Man 2.
Welcome one, welcome all to your guide to speedrunning Mega Man 2 in 15 minutes or less, presented by GEICO. I'm Emma Fife. Here today to help us dive into the world of speedrunning Mega Man 2, thanks to our friends over at Games Done Quick, is Cyghfer. Cyghfer, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to see you, and I see there's like a Pikachu hanging out in the background. You know it's not a Mega Man character, so, you know, it's like a little...
I do know that, but I have a soft spot for Pikachu. I grew up with Pokemon Red and Blue.
That's completely fair and same. Okay, let's get into it. So what are some of the most popular ways to run this game and some of the world records for each of those categories?
Sure. So the most popular way actually is a category called normal zipless. And there are two sort of differentiators for the game. There's a normal mode and a difficult mode. In difficult mode, bosses and enemies take twice the amount of hits to destroy. And then the other differentiator is zips versus zipless. So one of the big techniques used throughout the game, if you're choosing to use it, is zipping through ceilings, which means moving through ceilings extremely quickly, and you can bypass entire sections entirely, pretty much. And a lot of people that are first picking up the game find normal zipless to be a pretty approachable category. And so it actually has the largest amount of times on the Mega Man leaderboard for Mega Man 2. And I believe the record for normal zipless is 2844 by a player named Elanesia. We'll be talking about him more further on, for sure.
For sure. So learning to do zips is a bit challenging, and you described that as basically like moving through the ceiling really quickly?
Right. So the way it usually happens in Mega Man 2 is you have those three items that help you jump through space.
Right.
And the main one used is item 1. So it's a platform that just rises vertically in the air slowly. And so you get onto the item 1, and if you place it in just the right way, the item will push you into the ceiling. And once Mega Man is fully entered the ceiling, then you can face a certain direction. And he'll start actually moving forward at about 1 tile per frame. So that's extremely, extremely fast.
Yeah, I would say so. That sounds like a nice way to bypass large chunks of a level, so to speak. What would you say are some really notable moments in speedrunning that any % difficult mode category?
So some definitely notable moments are the entire Crashman stage, which is the 4th stage in the run. The start of the stage has probably the most difficult trick that we go for regularly in the upper echelons of runs of the game. It's called the Biggie Special. It's named after a speedrunner of the game who found a technique to do it in real time, whose name is Cool Kid. He used to go by the Big Boy on Twitch. And then the rest of the stage has the Crash Climb, which is a really difficult set of maneuvers we do with the item 3 to jump up some long ladder screens quickly. And then I would say the end of the game is a really difficult gauntlet. Wily 4, 5, and 6 are the final 3 stages. And a lot of personal best and world record pace runs have died to that gauntlet of 3 stages. And they're killer. They test every ability that you need to perform in the run. And Wily 5 in particular is a boss rush. So it has a lot of randomness to it, and you need to react to a whole host of different situations that can happen.
Yeah. Would you say that when you are navigating Mega Man 2 in terms of speedrunning, that it is more about optimization of techniques or more about routing, a little bit of both?
The routing is typically, it's not as much of a concern. It's really, the tricks are very difficult. Some of them are really difficult to learn. They have many interweaving components, and you kind of got to learn some of those piecemeal. And it's a game with a lot of precise tricks, flashy tricks, crowd-pleasing tricks, but very precise tricks. You'll see like 2-frame tricks all over the run. And stringing that all together into a completed run is honestly a mammoth feat. It feels really special to complete a run of Mega Man 2. I know that all of the top runners, whenever they've taken the record in any percent difficult, they've all been extremely emotional moments for the runners, myself included. You know, we do thousands of attempts and we finish very few runs because, again, the entire run is difficult, and then especially the final 3 stages are just so difficult to clinch out.
The game is just difficult. Like, let's be very clear. If any of you out there are thinking, I played Mega Man as a kid, it's not that hard, go back and play the early Mega Man games again. They're really hard.
Absolutely.
Now, well, can you elaborate a little bit more on the first time that you did get a world record running this game?
Yeah, so it was a really exciting time in speedrunning for me. The world record for any percent difficult at that time was held by a Japanese player named NOU1, and he had a time of 27 minutes and 21 seconds. And, you know, the standard of play in the speedrunning community was not as high as it was these days because there weren't as many tools for efficient practice, and it was just a little early in the activity, right? And so NOU1's run was extremely clean. It was very impressive. And I watched it in admiration. And I resolved to myself that I was going to beat this run. And I knew it would be really difficult. And I didn't know how long it would take, but I started really grinding it and just improving and practicing and doing runs. And I finally did beat it in 2013 with a 27:17. And I exclaimed at the end of the run after I finished it that Japan is dead. Japan is dead. Japan is dead! Japan is dead. Because there was kind of a bit of like a rivalry between the Japanese community and the Western community, at least in the Western community's eyes, because the Japanese community held a number of prestigious classic game records at that point. They were a separate community, and they had such amazing runs in a number of games. And we kind of wanted to step up and prove that we could play alongside them.
Well, and there you were to get that world record in Mega Man 2.
That's
you were
right.
talking a little earlier about how you were instrumental in some of the rerouting that took place semi-recently in the Mega Man 2 game. Can you tell me a little about how you go about like creating and discovering those optimal routes?
Yeah, so one of the things I'm proudest about in terms of the time I've spent playing Mega Man 2, and I've been playing Mega Man 2 for close to a decade now, like speedrunning it seriously, is that I've spent a lot of time comparing different strategies in various sections of the game. I have hundreds of, I mentioned tassing earlier, and so I've done some light tassing of the game just to compare strategies, not to create a full run, but I've created hundreds of input files of different strats just to see which is the fastest, which is the most consistent, how can we make something more consistent? Yeah. And I've done a lot of that over the years. And so this particular Wily Stages reroute, someone had posted a video containing a new strategy in Wily 4 that none of the real-time runners had ever seen before. And I started thinking, how could we utilize this? Because we can't utilize it in the route as it existed then. So I pretty much examined all the places that items 1 and 2 are used throughout the Wily stages, and I sort of shifted some puzzle pieces around and compared some frame counts, and then I came up with the route we have now.
So obviously you're very deeply entrenched in the speedrunning community for Mega Man 2 specifically. How did you get into speedrunning in the first place? And what would you say to somebody that was interested in speedrunning and wanted to maybe get more involved or know more about it?
Me getting into speedrunning is a very happy memory. So when I was really young, I absolutely loved games. I loved games more than anyone else I knew in person. And I remember playing this game called Tetris Attack, which is a puzzle game for the Super Nintendo, for hours and hours and hours, just endless mode by myself, like not against anybody. And so I had this desire to share gaming with other people, but I didn't have any like cool older cousins, or like none of my friends were as into gaming as I was. So when I first came across speedrunning, I was instantly like in love with the activity and the vibe around it. So one of the first really important things that drew me into speedrunning was actually Games Done Quick's first event called Classic Games Done Quick. And so this was in 2010, and it was all retro games. Nice. And Unfortunately, I didn't catch it live, but I did catch the VODs about a month after the event happened. And there was one moment in particular during a speedrun of Super Mario Brothers 2, the US version, by Andrew G. And he found a new glitch live in the moment during that marathon. So during the Wart fight, which is the final boss, he had defeated him, and Wart was kind of like transitioning to like a defeated sprite. He was like graying out and such. And then Andrew G threw another veggie at Wart, and then Wart's sprite glitched out and like flew across the screen in a strange way. And he was like, oh my God, that's never happened. Oh my goodness. And I watched that and I was like, no way, dude. There's like magic in the air. There's no way that just happened. It was a really magical moment for me.
Do you have any final advice for anyone who might be trying to get into speedrunning Mega Man 2 specifically?
I would say enjoy the feeling of improving and enjoy the process of learning all the tricks and strategies, because it's a really rewarding game to learn. And so when you hit your first zip, it just feels so cool because like you made Mega Man travel at light speed and you know, you did it yourself. Yeah. So it's a really cool feeling. And you know, when you start pushing the game a little more and it starts getting a little more challenging and grindy, because again, it's a very difficult game, you'll have that early experience of like the magic of learning the zips and improving to buoy you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Cyghfer, for joining us and imparting your great Mega Man 2 wisdom.
Thank you so much for having me. I was really enjoyed being here.
I know that we learned a lot here today, and we can't wait to get some Mega Man runs in. Thanks for watching your guide to speedrunning in 15 minutes or less, presented by GEICO. And remember, GEICO, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.